Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just getting here, we've got Milyssa Rose. We played a couple of the tracks that we've had here on the show, 4-5 years ago, it seems like, throwing it back a little bit, but now it's time for some new songs and basically a new album that she just came out with. It's called Multiple M. We've got Milyssa Rose right here, singer, songwriter, actor, entertainer, badass chick. What you got going on here is Multiple M, and I want you to get into a little bit about that, because right now the album's available for purchase, the actual album, physical copies that you're selling, and you're able to give out to people. Kind of more of an intimate situation here, and get into that a little bit, please.
Okay, so I have a graphic designer who also used to produce and rap, and he was listening to some of my music, and he said, I wish that you would rap, and I never had enough balls to do it. And he was like, well, what about this? What if I produce a lot of these rap tracks and I'll, basically give them to you as long as you, do your part of the bargain. So I went ahead and I, wrote all the raps and whatever. And it was a little trying at times because I'm not exactly super confident in my rap skills. But the idea that I had also was, okay, I'm going to rap, but then I also sing. So I was like, why don't I just do a whole multiple M thing to kind of show different facets of, what I can do musically. So that's how it kind of came about. And then, of course, Ted Bundy's anniversary of his death was this year. And that kind of came, into the media again. I said, you know what? I kind of was feeding off of all of that. I was like, you know what? I'll do this whole schizophrenic serial killer promo, and that's how we arrived at Multiple M. And then my graphic designer, Daniel Finsley, who also did the production, did, everything for the album.
That's awesome. And I think it's very unique, but also what you just explained, I wouldn't have got that out of the title, really. Multiple M, it makes you think what the hell is she talking about? What's the meaning of this? And so for you to bring that out is awesome, because even just Taking Over, the track that we played just a couple minutes ago, Taking Over has a lot of that too. You do sing and rap in that. But you do have that style that your rapping is kind of singing, and I love it. But at the same time,
oh, thank you.
It gives you more respect though for actual rappers, right?
Exactly. Mostly the people I work with are rappers, so I don't understand why I never started rapping earlier than that. But I was excited to do it, and I was inspired, honestly, by a rapper named Prof, who's out of Minnesota, which I absolutely love. He sings, he raps, he's very comical. He does a lot of character work. Every time he puts out an album. Yeah, multiple. We'll call him Multiple P. But he always has different personas, and I kind of was inspired by that. I like how he, does just. He has a Pookie Baby, which is this super swagged out guy, or he's got Prof Gombo, and he does crazy accents, and just everything he does has a theme. And I was like, you know what, I do that kind of stuff too. I really need to go ahead and step out of my box and kind of do an ode. I kind of call it an ode to Prof in a way, because that's really why I started to rap anyway.
Well, that's where sometimes you get your inspiration from other artists. You see what they're doing. You're like, ooh, I want to do something like that, but my own style, my own way, to kind of own it yourself. But also it kind of opens you up too, to being something different, being something new, finding something, that you might have been uncomfortable with that you really want to try because you don't want to be uncomfortable anymore, and that's one thing that expands. And it's that day and era now that music artists have to be creatives. They have to be actors and actresses. They have to be entertainers. You can't just put out a song and think it's going to take off and that's going to be it. You have to put yourself out there. People want to see you, what you look like, how you act, but also want to see your range. What kind of range do you have?
Yes, exactly. And I think now a lot of artists lack the artistry and the creativity because everyone now thinks that because they can do, everyone can record themselves and everyone can do beats and get on YouTube.
Self-proclaim, right? You can self-proclaim. Yes. I'm an artist. Wait a minute. Hold on. Settle down.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was one thing too. And people are like, oh, you're so different. And I'm like, well, I come from an age where music was actually music and people had to put energy into it, like Madonna and Michael Jackson and Cyndi Lauper, all these people that came out.
You couldn't buy beats. You couldn't buy beats like you can today. You can't get exclusive rights and just browse around a bunch of tracks and, oh, that one sounds good. Maybe I'll put some words over that. You can't.
Yeah, do that. Exactly. Yeah. Now it seems that they've cheapened the music business. Well, even entertainment in general. It's people like us that actually have talent. It's a shame that we aren't where we need to be. To me, I feel like we should be in the mainstream already because we actually have, what it takes to get there.
Well, of course. And that's the thing is that the independent scene is getting very saturated, but the mainstream is also hard to break into. Because once you get in there, obviously you're in there, and the streaming companies, you start to get fan clubs, you start to get a lot of people kind of supporting you and pushing your stuff that you don't even, you didn't recognize or you didn't know before, to where as an independent music artist, it's hard to get that recognition, hard to get something to go viral. Talk about maybe some things, the challenges you've had in music just overall, and trying to just push it to the next level, because sometimes that's all it takes is that one or two people to hear that song to get it to the next level.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed now is, everyone wants to be an artist. So within the last year or so, I took a course, and I think you and I have had this conversation, off air, about pushing my music to like commercials and film, TV. And so I actually got a couple songs placed, and I think one of them is actually about to be placed. Knock on wood. I'll make that announcement hopefully soon, because now it is so saturated. Everybody is trying to be an artist, and the fact is, the people that are really buying music are your big corporations that are placing it, for the public to hear, in commercial TV and film. And I feel like that to me is a better route, because it's saturated, but not as bad as it is for, everyone trying to be famous. My thing
at
is,
the
I
same
don't
time,
really want to be
everybody, it's another part of the industry that's growing as in entertainment.
Yes.
Is so, people just overall media in general, but visual and video media. And so if you can get your songs into those kind of things, then you're talking residuals, exposure, and they have to give you credit, of course, but also rights issues. You don't have to run into that when you have somebody like that, when your music's on some kind of project like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really where a lot of the money's at, because those people are the ones that are really dropping the money. I mean, let's be honest, how many people really buy music? Now it's everything streaming.
Yeah, they're spending the music that they would have spent on, or the money they would have spent on music, they're spending on their streaming services. So they have three different streaming services, for $40 a month or $30 a month total, and that's where they're getting their music. But they're not buying albums. The artists are like, "Hey, stream me, please, stream. We need streams. Follow streams. It's not like what it used to be." So let's lead into that and transition and kind of segue into what you're doing initially with this project, Multiple M, and that's going the old traditional route of being personal with people, say, come buy my music, kind of an exclusive way to be a little bit more intimate with your fans and I guess you can say customers.
Yes. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I've got a lot of people that support me that I wouldn't think in a million years that they would honestly buy my CD, which I think is it's kind of mind blowing to me. People I've never met or encountered. And I like that because I wanted to be more hands on, because I feel like everything now is just so impersonal, and it's nice when somebody can say, oh, like it's great when somebody like buys the CD or gets the poster and like takes the picture with it and sends it, or they, message me and tell me how wonderful they think the album is, and, the content and, what they were connecting with. And I enjoy it because like you said, it's more of a personal touch. And that's
like you said, they don't have that these days, because it's like stream the artist. There's a social media. There's no like real interaction there, and so something like that to hand over. It's back in the day, we used to love those. I still have a bunch that I'm like, these are classic CD covers, and you're like, back in the day, there was just something that a Snoop Dogg CD cover. It was like a book. You open it up, and the next thing you know, it's like a storyline, and you kind of read into it, and it turned it into an art in itself within the CD. And so you kind of lost that art as well, going into cover art, or some people use the same album art for their songs. And so it's getting into that point though, that a lot of these artists, music artists, almost have to be graphic artists or have a graphic artist. Now, do you outsource a lot of your stuff? And when you do you get a lot of feedback like that you can put in, or do you usually say, hey, this is what I want, it comes back and you're like, okay, I'll take it?
I work closely with Daniel Finsley. He's out of Wheeling, West Virginia. He does all of my branding, and he is amazing. I've been dealing with him for, almost a decade now, and he actually listens to my music and knows what kind of artist I am, and he will feed off of my ideas. I'll send him, my pictures, my ideas that I have going on, and we kind of go back and forth and figure out what it is that we want to do. And of course, I proof it. Like, I have all these ideas, but I can't do the graphics. So I let the people do what they know how to do. Like, I'm not going to be one of those that's going to try to, do my own graphics. Like, I'm going to keep that to the professionals. And time and time again, everything he does just blows me out of the water. Like, he's amazing. And that's what I like too, is I like to work with people that know like what I do. Like, when I have an interview with you, like, me and what I do and my music and how I am as an artist. Like, a lot of people just want to talk to me or work with me because they think, oh, well, she's a girl and she's kind of cute, so I just want to deal with her. And I'm like, no, like there's so much more to me than just being like, funny on the internet.
Right. Well, and they don't know you, and they're just trying to get a quick interview to maybe use your platform for themselves as well. So there's
exactly.
It's not usually a mutual relationship. Or another thing is that we actually met, and so after maybe 4 or 5 years of just online interaction through music promoting and through just connecting, overall, I went out to Atlanta on a road trip and a meeting with you and your husband.
Yes.
The Cuban, Tony, at a restaurant. I can't remember what restaurant, but not everybody could.
Chang's, yeah.
I thought about that. I was like, was it P.F. Chang's? I can remember the inside didn't kind of look like a P.F. Chang's that I was used to. So I was like, where was it? Maybe it was. Yeah, because I had those chicken lettuce wraps. So, but just to talk about that too, like being able to travel, like do you have to travel to Wheeling, or can you, connect with Daniel through Skype, through phone, things like that, to where, your input there's a lot easier than what it used to be back in the day too, to be able to get those projects through social networking and through social media?
Yes. I've actually never met Daniel. We have never met, but I know so much about Daniel and he knows so much about me. We might as well have already,
right,
known each other for years in the physical sense. I mean, it's crazy, like what the relationship that I've had developed with him, and I never met him in my whole entire life.
And that's
it's
how
wild.
A lot of things are, is that we talk about it too. I like the people that don't support you are your closest friends and family, but the people that are supporting you the most, you've never met in your life. And it's through social media, through the power of social media and then the internet, to be able to connect even globally. We talk about that too a lot, is technology's taken to where you can market your music globally these days. You're not limited to local. You're not limited to national. You can go global with it. So in a way, I guess that helps with streaming, because not everybody overseas can afford your album or know who you are, or maybe want to try a track out first and say, hey, maybe this is it. I don't want to buy it yet. And then decide, hey, I'm going to put them to my favorites and stuff like that. But talk a little bit about your global audience and maybe some countries that you've reached that you didn't really realize that, hey, I can't believe I got fans here.
I actually have a guy from France who purchased the album. And of course, I have a producer out of India that I work with that I met through social media, which I think was kind of wild. He produced Stand By You on my album. And it's kind of crazy how I've met people through like SoundCloud, Switzerland or Sweden. It's crazy. Like, it's really, honestly, it's like the only thing I can really say is I'm really speechless that I never thought in a million years that anyone outside of Atlanta was going to hear my music. And now I can tell you that people overseas and across the country have, know Milyssa Rose, which is wild. But
that also helps because it gives you a sense of purpose, like, hey, I'm actually doing some stuff and people are responding, because you're not limited to just around what Americans think. You're like, other people around the world are going to like this, and I don't have to just settle for what you think, like that's how a lot of people build their fan base, is overseas. I know a lot of artists that their main fan base isn't even in the United States.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And here in Atlanta, and I'm not going to knock the music scene, but it is saturated, and everybody here is trying to sound like the Migos. Right. And it's crazy when people meet me and they're like, you're so different. You are not like what's coming out of Atlanta. Like the photographer I use, Kyle Vance, when he did all of my photography for Multiple M, he's like, every time I work with you, it's like, it's insane. He's like, the stuff that we come up with, he's like, it's so out of the box. And it's true. It's like, that's what I want to be known for. I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to be the girl that looks kind of cute and, lets all of her goods hang out. And because that's what everyone's trying to do now. It's like mumble rap and.
Well, because the lyrics aren't speaking, they have to get the attention through social media and what it looks like. It's all appearance, so it has nothing to do with what they're saying or what is actually what the movement is, and that's one thing I always throw back to is I love old school East Coast hip hop, because they had knowledge in their lyrics. They had good beats, but they also weren't flamboyant, weren't out, hey, come look at me. It was more like, I'm trying to give you some knowledge, take it, whether it's from the streets or from, wherever they came from experience. That's what I have always appreciated about it. And so, like you said, it's more about trying to be like somebody instead of what you are, and nobody can imitate you. That's one thing that what I love about it is I can't pinpoint you to somebody else. Oh, she's like this, she's like that. And so if somebody's saying you're like Migos, that means they're thinking of Migos when they think of you, and that's not a good thing. You want them to think of you when they think of you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had a guy ask me to do a cover for him for Alanis Morissette, and I was amazed that this guy even liked Alanis Morissette and liked me even. I was kind of blown away.
Nice.
And Alanis was, I idolized her when I was a kid. And I was totally flattered that he would even say that. So it's
That's awesome.
It's wild. I mean, it really is to have people like, and that's what I like to have. If I'm gonna get a comparison, I don't want somebody to be like, hey, you're just like Selena Gomez. Because to me,
right.
like, no offense to Selena, I don't want to be Selena Gomez. Like, I think she's kind of boring.
Well, and that's the thing is it gets to a point that, like some artists, can they stand the test of time with their fans, and so that's another hard thing too, is like your music does that to me, because every time you release new music, I want to hear it. I want to find out what's going on, what she's saying, because it's entertaining, it's intriguing, it's unique. And you also have lyrics that you speak on different issues and relationships, mental health and things like that. And I think Ollie is one of those. Talk a little bit about that song, and then we'll lead into another song called Adventure, and we'll play that coming up next.
Ollie was inspired by just social media and social media warriors and people to just sit behind the internet and act like trolls, and everybody they're fake. I mean, I think to a point, I think online we are very brazen, that we probably wouldn't say some of the things that we say online, obviously, that we would say, on the street.
Well, you and I would, I think. I think we both speak our minds, whether it's social media or in public, but you're right. There's some things that you wouldn't, but you do have
a more G-rated version. Yeah. In person. But I think that now people on the internet, they piss me off so much with all their filters and their Facetune, and everything is perfect. And it makes me sick. And then there's always all these political activists and social activists, and they don't do anything but sit on their ass behind a computer. And that was what it was about. And when I did the video, I wanted it to be where I looked like I was a webcam girl or, an Instagram model. But truly what I was doing was picking out my victims. And I think that's what we need to be. I think that the internet, we need to be very cautious, because now you can find out anything about anyone on the internet. And people don't realize who they're talking to. And people are always like, oh, you're so obsessed with crime and serial killers. I'm like, no, you don't understand. There's so much more to it. The human mind is baffling. Like, you don't know what kind of people are out there and what people are capable of. And I think that's what I'm trying to let people know. It's not just because I like true crime. It's like those people are out there right now, watching and looking and waiting to prey on people that are unsuspecting. And it's not that
you're trying to, be frightening or trying to use scare tactics. It's you want to be educated and you want to know and you want to be aware.
Yeah, exactly. Because, there's not many times when people get themselves in situations, it's because I'm not saying all the time, but you don't know your surroundings or what you're dealing with. And I'm just trying to bring that to light, that just because you meet someone and they look really normal doesn't mean that they are.
I've experienced that quite a few times. and again, there might be on the other side, I might run into somebody and they might have said something wrong or done something wrong, and I reacted a certain way. They're like, what's wrong with that guy? Well, again, because I didn't have all the knowledge, or I didn't have all the facts, or I had all the information, I reacted, and vice versa. So sometimes, again, like you said, you got warriors, you got people behind, but again, a lot of it is because, one, they're bored, or they're lonely, or they're depressed, or they're looking for something that fulfills, them personally, because they're not out there doing something themselves to combat what they're actually trying to combat, and obviously it's maybe their form of trying to, reach out because they're scared or they don't know any other way. But at the same time, it's a problem. And I agree with you. It's definitely a problem. And it's something that more people need to be aware of. And I thank you for bringing awareness to it, because in your songs, that's what I was talking about, lyrics, having lyrics that actually speak. Once you get into it, ask the artist, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? Our artists want you to interact with them and want you to ask about their songs and their music. And do you get a lot of feedback, a lot of people asking you and talking to you about actual lyrics in your song?
Yes, I've actually had many people say they realize what it is that I'm doing, and that it's just not me being obsessed with, serial killers. There's just so much more to, what I'm doing, anything that I do. I'm very big on, mental health and bringing awareness to, being safe no matter what you do. And I think the people that only know me from the surface, I think they just say, oh, you're just doing that for attention. I had a guy actually say that, oh, you're very childish for your obsession. And I'm like, dude, I just blocked him because there was no reason for me to even explain to him what it was I was doing, because I don't think he could understand. It would be too complex for him. I think people are like I said, they're lacking what entertainment really is.
Well, it's hard for you to spend that time to try to explain something to somebody that already kind of came to their own conclusion.
Exactly. There's so much, everything that I do, there's a reason why I'm doing it. It's not, I think you've known me long enough to know that there's a reason why I do the things that I do.
And the real long-standing music artists, you can tell whether they're selling 1 million albums or selling a couple thousand. You can tell that they're serious about what they're putting out there. It's a project. And so, again, your camera work is good. Everything, your makeup, all of that, the set,
Thank you.
It seems you have, because it all have scripts. It all seems, like it's laid down in a storyboard when you do your videos and things like that actually has a process to it, to where some people just, eye on me, I'm going to lip sync this part. Let's go over this scene. Eye on me, I'm going to lip sync this part, instead of actually building a story with the video in itself.
Exactly. I mean, everyone wants to just have a video with a bunch of girls and nice cars and be out in the street. No. Everybody does that. What are you really doing? What are you really saying?
Well, that's the influence, though. Yeah. It's the influence today, is that because they see other people getting attention doing it, so they think they're going to get the attention by doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Well, let's move on to one track, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more. This one's called Adventure, which is, you got 6 tracks on the Multiple M album. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is one of 6, Adventure. You could talk a little bit about that, lead the people into it. We'll play it, then we'll come back and talk some more.
Okay, perfect. Adventure is actually just a fun female empowerment, going out with your girls, getting dressed up, being cute, being carefree, and just living the life. It's not like Hot Girl Summer at all. So,
well, we'll find out right.
Twerking.
No, twerking. If you could twerk to it if you want, but it's not about that. Adventure, Milyssa
exactly.
Rose. Let's get into it right now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll get back with that interview with Milyssa Rose. You want to catch the whole show with a few songs of hers as well? Go to the archives, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, also at the website DTongRadio.com. Also, if you want to get your music heard on the show, go to fiverr.com/DTongSports, fiverr.com/DTongSports. You can advertise, sponsor on the show as well. That's fiverr.com/DTongSports. Back to the interview with Milyssa Rose. That was Adventure with Milyssa Rose from the Multiple M album. You still have some copies of that available?
I do. So if anyone wants them, they can hit me up on social media or m@mrosemusic.com. But the best is going to be on my Instagram or my Facebook. I'm on there a lot. Or even Twitter for anybody that tweets. I know a lot of people stay away from Twitter, but
it's gone down because I think a lot of people Instagram is taking over. We know that. But TikTok, have you been on TikTok lately or at all?
I've never been on there. I have some friends on there, but I've never been. Are you?
I am now. Because of the interaction, that's where 800 million users apparently are. It's youth, but it's also kind of pushing into now more mainstream, so TikTok was kind of it's just video and it's, like entertaining kind of trendy videos too, certain songs, certain trendy things like dances or, certain things that people are doing. But now it's turned into a great platform for music artists like yourself, creatives to use as well. One, because that's where most of the people are going to. Also, but it just gives you kind of a sense of what people are wanting. It makes still pictures look ridiculous. It kind of is turning into that everything's video. So it's going to be virtual reality and stuff like that. So I just feel like TikTok is something into the future. So for music artists, get on there. It's another platform. Obviously, we know other social medias are going away. Now, is this new album going to be available on streaming platforms soon, or is this going to be physical copies only?
I'm going to do physical copies for a while, and eventually I will. I haven't decided when I'm going to do it, but I will eventually. I just haven't. I won't lie to you. I thought about it, and I was toying with the idea of when, but I just don't know when.
Take your time. It's your music. You do what you want with it. I'm sure other people are asking you too. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's looking forward to that. But at the same time, is there another project coming up? Do you have another music video coming up for any of these tracks that you haven't made a video for yet?
I am actually working on a collaboration with an artist named White Gold that hails from Florida. A song that we're doing a video to, and he's also going to drop it on his album. And then I have a single that was produced by Daniel Finsley, the guy that did most of my rap and all my graphic design. He produced a track for me, and it's entitled Goodbye. And myself and C-Wiz is going to be featured on it. And it's just a crazy relationship song. So that's currently being mixed and mastered, and I'm talking to the videographer right now about what we're going to do. So that will be a video for sure, and the other song that I did with White Gold will be. And then
are you still doing some acting, or is that kind of part-time? How does that work? Because I know Atlanta, the film scene, the commercial scene is going crazy out there. Do you get into any of that?
I have a friend that's really big in that, and he's talking about doing some film work. So I think I may be doing some things with him. That's not concrete yet. But I mean, I've mostly been really focused more on like behind the scenes stuff, like I said, with like placing the music in the libraries. And then I will be doing a charity event in October for domestic violence. So now I'm like, it's ridiculous. I don't know if I want to say that I'm being lazy or if I just become like super selective. I've just become like so selective with what I do now because my energy, I need to protect it, because there's been so many times I've done and I think you and I have had this conversation. So many people are just full of it. And then I come in and I, put my heart and soul into something, and then it doesn't come into fruition, or it just doesn't turn out the way that it needs to be. So now I just take my time with everything that I do.
Well, that's important too. As you get older, you have so many things going on. I mean, you also take care of animals. You also have, you run a business, and so it's not like, I talked about this with another artist, is that especially independent music artists, people don't realize like we got other things going on. We don't just tour all the time and make music. Like we got our own lives and our own jobs going on, but also you want to put that energy into your music, but when you do, you want to be able to be reciprocated. So, there's a lot of people out there that, again, you get into projects, you get into things, and then they don't fulfill it, or they don't come through, or it's not necessarily what you had envisioned. And a lot of music artists, as they get through that, like you, had to learn the hard way, So any little advice that you could throw is always helpful, because it saves a lot of other artists some time. Like you said, be selective. So is there a lot of things you would have been more selective about earlier in your career that you kind of regret? Or is there some things that you're like, I'm glad I learned that lesson. Now I have more control.
I think that I wouldn't change it, but I didn't mind doing all the shows. I just wish I would have been compensated more. But I think that was I think that's probably everybody's, thing. Mm-hmm. Wish they could have made more money off of this. And like, because
you could have got more money.
Yeah. And now that I'm older and I realize I'm very seasoned, I think. And, when I put on a show, I put on a damn good show. And I can rest assured, I don't think I'm going to sound cocky when I say that. I think I really do. I'm very passionate about what I do. I put a lot of energy and time and, creative juices into everything, even, everything that I do. And it upsets me that I don't get compensated the way that I should, because people don't realize, hair, makeup, clothes, when I'm putting in together my mixes for my music, what my theme is going to be, if I have any props it's just so much that goes into it.
Well, usually they have a budget, so they want to pay as less as possible, and so that kind of hurts the negotiation process.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, can you do the show for this or for no money? And it's like, no, because I can't pay my bills with exposure.
Yeah. If you asked me when I was first starting, sure. But now that I have, a reputation and I have experience under my belt, heck no. Go find somebody that, is just starting out. So go find an amateur, because those are the only ones you're going to find that are willing to do it for free. Don't devalue yourself, especially as an artist. And that's one thing that we both kind of learned, me as a creative and as just building a business. You are worth more than you're actually charging, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. But also you find out that people have money. A lot of people have more money than what normal people have, and they're willing to pay. And so your job is to build up your skills, build up your knowledge, build up, your talents. So when you reach those people, they're ready to give you what you're really worth.
Exactly.
It's been quite 5-6 years maybe at 7 years that you and I have been kind of networking and interacting. And I look forward to many more years and much more music, many more songs. And I appreciate you. I got a physical copy. I got a t-shirt for myself that I'm hanging up here in the new studio. So looking forward to putting that up. I haven't worn it because I don't want to wear it and then it stinks like me and then I got to wash it and then it's, so it's more of a commemorative item than anything. And I still have the Rose Doctrine CD. So I appreciate the gift pack and everything. And I appreciate you. There's a lot of people out there that are doing what you're doing just as hard. And those are the kind of people that we need more of because again, you're selective with your time, but you do it with purpose. And I can tell by what you're doing, how you're, advocating animals, mental health, and you're still putting out good music with good meaning, but also empowering other people. And so just through your actions, you do that. And I appreciate that. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, taking the time. We're going to play Stand By You to close it out. You can lead the people in, say what you want, tell everybody where to find you. Anything else? The stage is yours. And, also credit to your husband for just being a supportive dude. He seems like a nice guy.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me and supporting me. I mean, it means so much. I've enjoyed watching you grow. Like, I feel like we're growing together and we've just, it's leaps and bounds we've done. And I'm just so proud of us. And, I can't tell you enough, like how much your support means. I mean, it really is like, I don't want to get all emotional, but yes, thank you so much for everything. And, shout out to Chetan Kumar who produced Stand By You. It's a gushy little love song. And
That's why I saved it for last.
I had to write something like that. And shout out to Daniel Finsley for producing and the graphic design and Poppy Hay for production and Kyle Vance for the photography and just everyone that was involved with the project. And, I'm just thrilled to have put this out and I'm very proud of it and I'm glad that I did it and I stepped out of my comfort zone and I'm glad that people enjoy it and there will be more music, coming out. I'll be doing, like I said, White Gold, the collaboration. I can't even talk anymore. C-Wiz, I'll do that collaboration. And then I have some music that's coming up on Suicide King's album as well. That'll be coming out, in the late fall. So there's things that I will be doing, so I'll be out there, but thank you all so much for listening and giving me a voice and, people, will listen to me and that's, and hopefully I will empower and motivate and inspire because we're not here for a very long time. And, that's what I want to do. I want to have a purpose and meaning. And I hope that that's what I'm doing.
You definitely are, and I appreciate it. The Stand By You's coming up right now. Milyssa Rose, again, it's 2019. People don't talk on the phone like this, so you and I could probably go another half hour, but it's been 30 minutes, so we're going to cut it off here. But you have a wonderful day, week, and year.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon. Milyssa Rose, Stand By You. Let's go.